cracks. Have to lower that for me. I feel like I'm out of my league. I guess I'm about as lucky as anybody ever is. I never was much of an athlete. I was a running back at Wittenberg for 4 years. Never started a game unless the guy in front of me had a concussion, which he often did. We had spring football in those days in Division III, so I couldn't play baseball. But, you know, that's some of that lawyer talk. I couldn't play baseball anyway. But I did put on the catcher's gear, you know, a spanking 150 pounds, and I would go out and catch an hour and a half of batting practice because we didn't have all these fancy gadgets like batting cages and the modern kinds of things. And I made friends. I wasn't dumb. I was not a very good athlete, but I wasn't dumb. I made real good friends with the ace pitcher. And there were 2 other guys who were on the catching staff, and they couldn't hit either. So when they asked the ace pitcher, when the coach said, "Okay, you're on today," he'd say, "Who do you want to catch you?" He would say, "Pete." Okay, so I lettered. I don't think they even batted my weight. And I was only 150 pounds. But those were the prehistoric days. You know, I know you expected a geezer who was going to come up here and regale you with all these tales, but I can't remember them. 60 years ago. 60. That's when I started here. But no, actually, it was 2 years before that when I was a JV coach. And getting to be at Upper Arlington was incredible luck. I had gone on the GI Bill to Ohio State, had taken my master's degree work, was writing my thesis during the summer, working a job in construction, had an extremely pregnant wife to take care of, and didn't have a job. So finally, I think it was late July, yeah, probably late July, they called me from the admissions, or not the admissions, the placement office, and said, "Go to Upper Arlington." Where's that? Well, that's over by Columbus. You look on a map, you'll find it. And apply for a job. And so I went there, and how lucky can you get? I love football, I love baseball, and an opening for both. The new baby coming on needed every dime he could find. So I took both those assistant jobs, and now this doesn't sound very lucky. The baseball job gave me a whopping $100 for the season. That's not weeks. And the assistant football job gave me $200. So I was that much better off. I was so lucky, and that kind of went into the way the kind of coach that I was. Luck had a lot to do with it, and the people, and that's what this whole business. These guys have been talking about this. The people that I had to work with. Now, baseball wasn't great priority sport in those days. In 1957, well, start with 56, my first year. The varsity field was the baseball field, that ancient field over behind the elementary school, behind the gym, or behind the Jones Stadium. And the JV practice field was where the parking lot is now, in right field of that. And it wasn't even marked for baseball. You didn't even, you just had to take 3 bases out there and put them where you thought they should go. And then we practiced. And you know, you start a practice and you say, okay, I need some baseballs. And you got rolled out two or three dark brown, crusty threads coming out of them, balls, and you got ready to go. You got a little better the second year because the varsity baseball coach at the time was Bob Meter. And some of you folks in the financial world perhaps know Bob Meter. Bobby was a heck of a guy. He helped me a lot. I have to thank him because he helped me, and he helped pull some strings and get some things going with the baseball situation. While I'm thanking, I might as well thank. I need to thank the baseball boosters, this organization, the committee, especially Mrs. Finelli. And I've already thanked Bob Meter, but I need to thank Mark Moorhead too. You say, what in the world did he have to do with baseball? Nothing. But Coach Moorhead had a gimmick, and this is one of the inside things about that guy. He got himself, and I don't even know if he even took any money for it, but he was made assistant track coach. Because back in those days, track was the big sport. Baseball was not. And so Coach Moorhead told the football players, if you think you're going to make the team, you cannot loaf in spring. You have to be out for a sport, or I'll make room for you on the track squad. Now you know what that was. If they couldn't do the track events, then they could always run, couldn't they? And that meant they were going to spend their track practices running and running and running. So, good athletes came to baseball. Something attractive for them to do, something was fun. Well, it got better. And the maintenance got better. But I never could get permission to drive that tractor. You know, we have to get the field ready for baseball, I would cry to the athletic director. And the maintenance guys would say, okay, we'll drag the field for you. Now this was a completely skinned infield. And they would hook up a piece of chain link fence about 6 by 6. And they would take a tractor and drive around and around and around and around and grind it down until it was pretty level. And then that was it. The rest of it was up to the coaching staff. The coaching staff was me and the JV coach, 1 and 1. And of course then we roped in the players so that many times Saturday morning was field time. And that was a lot of fun. Wasn't it, guys? Now we played on an equipment budget. I put that in quotation marks because we didn't get much of a budget. We were allowed to play 16 games. And then we got into the league, or got into league play, and we decided, well, gee whiz, if you play home and home, which we did then, that was all of your games, was league. Didn't have anything to warm up the season with. So we begged and begged and begged, and finally we got to schedule 18 games. And I don't know how it is today. Well, yes, I think I do. But game day, you took two new baseballs out to the field. You gave one to the pitcher and one to the umpire. And that was it. That was it. Somebody hits a foul ball and it goes back in the parking lot. You had a manager, a student manager, and he had to chase them down. And if he fouled two of them off, then you had to hold the game up while somebody got a baseball. It got better. And it continued to get better right up until the time that it was my time to be the head football coach, and they didn't want me to coach anything else at that time. The baseball complex, I like to call it now, at Upper Arlington is beautiful. It's getting better all the time, but it's beautiful. Back then, we didn't know what an outfield fence was, except that the parking lot is where the tennis courts are now. And so somebody's car got dinged. I don't know how. I mean, everybody, I don't remember hitting a home run. But anyway, they got a dinged car, and so they decided, well, we better fence it. So they put an 8-foot fence up. Now, what kind of an outfield fence is that? With cars on the other side. If you wanted to hit it over the fence at the stadium, count on a 450-foot shot to get it over there. Is that far away? A lot of things were a little lacking in that respect. But our facility wasn't as bad as some. I remember we went to Chillicothe and played a game one night. It got to be nearly night before it was over. But Bob Bauer was an outfielder.